Welcome back, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both published by Simon and Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing Darkness Take My Hand by Denis Lehane. This is book number 2 in Denis Lehane's Kenzie and Gennaro Private Investigator series. Came out in 1996. I got the entire Kenzie and Gennaro collection here. There's 6 books total, starting with A Drink Before the War. You can see my review of A Drink Before the War somewhere on this channel. You can also see my review of Denis Lehane's Mystic River somewhere on this channel. And then we got all the other books. This is book number 2, Darkness Take My Hand. And we got Prayers for Rain, Sacred, Moonlight Mile, and Gone Baby Gone. Maybe you saw the movie Gone Baby Gone with Casey Affleck. Directed by Ben Affleck. One of the great noir mystery movies ever made. Just dynamite. And it's about Kenzie and Gennaro. And we always talk about the covers. I like the covers of these books. Each one of them's a little different. This one's a little different than the rest. You know, it does its job. It gives you the idea that you're going to be reading a bleak murder mystery. You know, I've met Denis Lehane. He signed all my books. You know, I name drop like a motherfucker. If I meet a famous author that is one of my favorite authors, I always get my book signed, and I'm happy to show everybody on the channel. Now let's talk about what this is. You know, I listened to this on a drive the other day. I think the narrator on audible.com. I've read every book in these series about 5 times each. It is literally my favorite mystery series of all time. You know, I've been reading a lot of the C.J. Box Joe Pickett mysteries, and I'm really obsessed with those right now. And I'm just like, man, C.J. Box, he's creeping up there into the top 5 mystery writers of all time and for me. But man, Denis Lehane will always be number 1. He is the best. I mean, Denis Lehane's books are creepy, chaotic, uncomfortable reads. I mean, they're violent, terrifying, stunning, shocking, relentless, full of depravity. Everything I love about reading just hard, gritty crime novels. Denis Lehane throws it all out there in spades. Now, I was talking about the audible.com. I listened to this as I was driving. I was out on a drive. And the audible.com narrator was, I think, Kevin Pariseau. And I might be way off on that. But the audible.com version was really cool because I've read this 3 or 4 times, and listening to it added another flavor to it because the narrator did a great job of the different Boston characters, and it was like listening to it was like listening to a professional audible.com narrator at the top of his game, giving you just a fantastic version, giving a fantastic treatment of one of the greatest mystery novels of all time. This book starts out with our 2 tough-talking detectives, Angela Gennaro and Patrick Kenzie, the star of all 6 novels. And these guys are cool. And they get Dr. Warren comes to them pissed off about the Irish mafia. She has said something or done something to piss off the Irish mafia. And now the Irish mafia has targeted her son. And she's like, I need you guys to protect my son. I need you to find him, protect him, and all of that. And so that's where the mystery starts off. But with Denis Lehane novels, the inciting incident and the inciting mystery and the mystery that they're first given at the beginning of the story is really not at all what the story is going to be about. You can guarantee that. That's just the jumping off point for Kenzie and Gennaro to venture off into the wilds of inner city Boston and all of the quirky characters and all of the evil that resides within some of these neighborhoods, and they just get embroiled in it. They grew up here. Kenzie and Gennaro grew up in this area, so they know most of the players. In fact, one of the things about this novel that we learn about Gennaro, Angela Gennaro, is she herself is related as the niece of the top Italian mob boss in Boston. And and then she starts to, that's just, I'm not going to get into it more than that, because we got the Irish mob, the Italian mob, we've got a serial killer, we've got Kevin, we've got this guy Kevin, who is one of the most terrifying thugs I think I've ever read in a book of all. I mean, and then we've got a series of, like a serial killer series of murders that are people being crucified in gruesome ways, and we've got a lot of scenes inside of dark, dank prisons. It's got a real Silence of the Lambs type feel to it, and like I said, Dr. Warren and her beef with the Irish mob is the starting point of this story, and man, it just spirals from there into some dark, dark places. I think the title, Darkness Take My Hand, is apropos for the tone of this book, because I'm going to say right now, this is the darkest mystery novel I've ever read. And a lot of Denis Lehane's novels are pretty dark. I think this one goes into some depraved places. Like I say, if I could sum up this book in one word, it would be depravity. I mean, the people that Kenzie and Gennaro meet are just the worst of the worst that Boston has to offer. And the other thing that I love about this book is it's more about, it starts to become more about Kenzie and Gennaro's relationship itself and the relationship to other people, in that Kenzie and Gennaro grew up as kids, and they grew up with this other guy named Phil. Now, Phil ended up marrying Gennaro, Angela Gennaro, and he's not a good guy. In book one, we know he's not a good guy, but yet Angela sticks with him even though he's a straight asshole. And so this relationship has sort of, in the end of book one, that relationship sort of crumbles. And now we see the aftermath of that crumbling relationship played out throughout this entire book, between Phil and Angela, and Kenzie, who is sort of the third wheel in this because he's friends with both of them. But he doesn't, I mean, he was once best friends with Phil. But since Phil started, he's just abusive to Angela, they've sort of fallen out of friendship and sort of developed this competition between each other. And we know that Kenzie likes Gennaro more than just a business partner. And Phil also senses this. And Angie also knows it. But Angela's just sleeping around with everybody, leaving Kenzie and Phil out now. Now she's just like gone on a bender, a sex bender. And then Kenzie himself decides he gets a girlfriend, and his girlfriend has a little girl. So now he's sort of got himself a little family. And I gotta tell you, man, it's tough to read. This is tough to read because you've got all of this drama, sort of this soap opera drama, wrapped up into this mystery novel about a serial killer and crucifixions and the Irish mob and the Italian mob and some of the worst, most depraved gangsters you're ever going to meet. On top of that, we get Bubba, who's probably a lot of people would say he's the star of the whole series. He's kind of like Kenzie and Gennaro's bodyguard. I mean, even though Kenzie and Gennaro are these tough-talking detectives out of Boston, they're kind of wusses. They don't like to do their own fighting. They usually have Bubba go kick ass whenever they need ass kicking to be done. And Bubba is just a delight. Whenever he's on scene, he is a delight, because no matter how gruesome or depraved or tough the Italian mobsters or the Irish mobsters or the Boston thugs think they are, Bubba can always take it to another level. And so I listened to this just recently on a long drive I took, and I thought I would leave a review of it. Fuck, man, this Denis Lehane is, if you've seen my top 5 authors of all time, you know Denis Lehane fell into the top 5, along with Stephen King and I won't mention. I'll let you go watch that video. Just type in Durfee's top 5 or 10 favorite authors. Anyway, this book is a 10 out of 10. Every Denis Lehane book that I review is going to be a 10 out of 10. These things are just awesome. And this is probably I can't say it's even my favorite of the Kenzie and Gennaro, because I think they're all dynamite. They're all just great. But this one most certainly is the most terrifying, darkest, hard-hitting, soul-crunching mystery novel I've ever read, which means it's, it's just 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10. Another 10 out of 10. Darkness Take My